Some knocks are not meant to be answered. Some eyes are not meant to be seen. Tonight, Bloodline Files takes you face to face with the black-eyed. Children, entities that lurk in shadows, at the edge of streets and in the silence of your own home. Dare you step closer? It was a chilly evening when Sarah was walking home after a late study session. The streets were empty and the fog clung to the lampposts, blurring reality with shadows. Out of nowhere, she saw two small figures standing by an alley, their movements slow and deliberate. As she approached, their eyes caught the dim light, and she froze. Jet black, infinite void stared back at her, emotionless yet profoundly terrifying. Her pulse raced, legs refusing to move as if rooted to the spot. The children's whispers brushed against her mind, words she could not comprehend yet somehow understood, coaxing her closer, promising safety, or perhaps something far worse. A deep dread settled in her chest, every instinct screaming to run, but her feet felt heavy, unresponsive. Seconds stretched into eternity, the fog wrapping around her like icy fingers. When she finally blinked, the children had vanished, leaving only the echo of their presence and a fear she knew would never truly leave her. It was just past midnight when Jason was driving along a lonely country road, the mist curling around the headlights like ghostly fingers. He noticed two children standing on the shoulder, their small forms motionless and oddly still. At first he thought they were lost, perhaps waiting for a ride. But as he slowed down, his stomach twisted, their eyes, completely black, void-like, locked onto his, and a chill surged through him. Jason's hands trembled on the steering wheel, and the engine seemed to grow louder, yet somehow quieter, as if swallowed by the darkness. He wanted to roll down the window, to ask if they needed help, but a silent warning froze him in place. The children's expressions remained blank, yet their presence screamed danger. Time seemed to warp around him, the night stretching and contracting in unnatural pulses. When he finally dared to glance back through the rearview mirror, the figures were gone, leaving only the lingering sensation of being watched, a fear that would cling to him long after the road straightened and the fog dispersed. Late one evening, Emily was sitting alone in her apartment, finishing her work while the city slept. A sudden, soft knock at her front door made her glance up, annoyed at the disturbance. She didn't expect visitors at this hour, especially children. When she peeked through the peephole, two small silhouettes stood outside, their shapes almost human, but unnervingly still. Her breath caught when their eyes met hers, solid black pools, absorbing the dim hallway light. The knock came again, more insistent yet strangely polite, a whisper of a sound that seemed to echo inside her skull. Emily's heart hammered. Every instinct screamed to ignore it, to lock the door and call someone. But something in the air pressed against her mind, demanding attention. She imagined the horror stories she had dismissed, tales of black-eyed children roaming, neighborhoods in search of those foolish enough to respond. The sound of their knocking continued, rhythmic and patient, until she finally forced herself to move away from the door. When she dared to look again, the figures had vanished, leaving only an oppressive stillness and a lingering, unshakable dread. David was camping deep in the woods, miles from any civilization, enjoying the solitude of nature. As night fell, the fire crackled softly, casting long shadows against the trees. Then faint giggles pierced the quiet, soft yet carrying a weight that made the hair on his arms stand up. Two small figures emerged from the darkness, barely illuminated by the firelight. Their movements were unnaturally smooth, almost gliding over the leaf-strewn ground. David's stomach dropped as their eyes, completely black and bottomless, fixed on him, unblinking and utterly devoid of warmth. He froze, unable to comprehend what he was seeing, each second stretching into an eternity. A strange compulsion tugged at him, urging him to offer them something, anything, as if denying them would unleash something unspeakable. Then, as suddenly as they appeared, the figures vanished into the darkness, leaving David alone with a terror so intense it rooted him to the spot long after he extinguished the fire and fled into the night. One foggy evening, Hannah was walking her dog along an abandoned park path, the mist curling around the rusted playground equipment. She noticed two children standing at the edge of the swings, eerily still and watching her approach. Their eyes, solid black voids, seemed to pierce through her soul. The dog growled, backing away, fur bristling, sensing something she could barely understand. The air felt heavier, colder, as if the fog itself pressed against her chest. The children whispered, their voices a soft chorus of demands she could not decipher, yet she felt compelled to obey. Panic surged as the instinct to run fought with the paralyzing fear anchoring her in place. When she finally mustered the courage to move, the children had vanished, leaving only the damp fog and the echo of their presence, a shadow in her mind she would carry forever. Next time you hear a knock at your door late at night, and two small figures appear with eyes darker than the void itself, remember this warning. Some doors are meant to remain closed. Black-eyed children are not bound by distance or logic. They linger in shadows on empty streets, and at the edge of perception, always waiting for someone to let them cross over. Their presence evokes primal fear, a warning we instinctively understand but cannot fully explain. Curiosity can be deadly when facing these entities. Even witnessing them from a distance can leave a lasting mark, a psychological impression that may haunt the observer for months or years. In the world of the black-eyed children, fear is not just a feeling. It is the only thing standing between the living and the unknown darkness they embody. One knock can change everything. Will you answer it or survive the shadows?